And we welcome you here to the 1A single semifinals for the 2025 TSSAA Middle School Volleyball Championships, as we have what's going to be a great matchup between Charlotte and Bellevue, the Owls and the Tigers. I'm Ethan Markham, joined by Mary Dayton. And Mary, we've seen some great matchups so far throughout the day. We've had two great games that we just watched. This is a big one. Both teams looking to clinch their trip to a championship.
So they were in pool play yesterday. Charlotte came out on top in their pool. Bellevue came in second place in their pool, and they came in second behind West Green. Both teams are top four in state of their division, so I'm excited to see how these teams show up when it comes to being in the lights, on TV, all of those things.
And it's a very stark difference as far as just programs. If we look at it, you look for Bellevue, this is their first appearance. Now, granted, this is only the third year that we've had these middle school championships. But again, still, this is their first appearance. But if you look across the net, Charlotte, this is their third appearance. 2 years ago, they were runner-ups. Last year, they were third. So it really feels like I don't want to say I don't know the right way to say this. It feels like you're going one program that's up and a newcomer going up against somebody that's very experienced.
Well, and maybe they're going into today's match with different goals. So, for instance, Charlotte, having been runner-up 2 years ago, third place this past year, they want to be the top dog, and they're on track. But they have to get through this match and the one coming up later, depending on how they do. And as far as Bellevue goes, they have nothing to lose. This is one of those matches where you get to experience what they're doing. Not everybody on the team, they're not eighth graders. There's some seventh and sixth graders sprinkled in. So this is just a great experience for both programs to be in it today.
Absolutely. So to start things off with the serve, we are underway. It was Callie Abbott. They'll set up in the middle, and that's going to be mishanded. Just couldn't get her hand on it, and that'll be an opening point for Bellevue. And if you look at Bellevue, as you were talking about, there's a lot of youth on this team, a lot of 6th and 7th graders, and that's a very stark difference from the teams that you and I have seen so far today.
That is right. Our last match, each team had one, possibly two 7th graders. Everybody else were 8th graders. And what you're seeing is the 7th and 6th graders are getting that experience, so next year it's just going to make a bigger difference, such as with Charlotte. They have been, well, actually talking to Charlotte's coach, she said only one of the players was on the team last year. So this is kind of a new experience for them as well.
That one returning player was Rayleigh Williams, and that's going to be another point for Bellevue, off to a 3-0 start. And what a great start for the Owls. So Savannah Wynn will serve again. And that's going to be another point for the Owls. And a 4-0 lead early for Bellevue. And that's going to be yet another point for the Owls, and some early miscues really plaguing Charlotte. They'll set up on the outside. Going to pop this one up high. She'll send it over, calling her own number. A great reaction, but they're not able to save it. And that'll be the first point of the set for Charlotte, now 5-1.
The good thing about our game, today's game of volleyball, the rally scoring is going to allow Charlotte to work themselves back into scoring, as long as they can just protect the serve as it comes.
And that's going to get just out of reach of Presley Gibson, and that's going to be another point for Bellevue, back up to a 5-point lead. And we've seen some very impressive runs at times during these games so far today. So it wouldn't be surprising to see Charlotte work back into it, but right now, Bellevue has all the momentum in the world, and that's going to be another point, make it 7-1.
The coach doesn't always want to call a timeout this early. Sometimes it's stopping the bleed and just getting the players regrouped and reset. She might have to call one pretty soon.
And that's going to be a service error that'll make it 7-2. And I think if that had turned into another point, then you absolutely have to burn one of those timeouts. That's going to be out past the line. That'll be a service error. That'll make it 8-2.
And you know, Charlotte is excited to be here. And this being today's semis and finals day, they're probably a little nervous. They have a lot of expectations on this program, even though only one player is returning from last year. There's a lot of indirect expectation. So they just got to just relax, play each point one at a time, and they'll be back in this.
Well, it's a very tough, you talk about having shoes to fill. Last year, third place. 2 years ago, runners-up. That's going to be another point for Charlotte. Even if you only have one returning player, you have the same coach. And because of that, there is that expectation that, there's no excuses.
That's right.
Same mentality. So it's very easy to see why there would be some nerves that need calming.
And the high expectations.
And that's going to be into the net, and that'll be a point for Charlotte. And the Tigers pull within 3. Out past the back line, it's now 8-6. That's 4 straight for Charlotte, as they are now just 2 off from the lead. Set up high, it ends up on the other side of the net. They'll set up on the outside. And that's going to fall down on the other side. It's now 8-7. That's 5 straight for the Tigers. And that'll be a violation. That'll give another point to Charlotte, and we are now tied up at 8-8.
This is a prime example of rally scoring and just the momentum shifts in the middle school division. The serving, the passing, all of that can change in an instant.
They set up in the middle. Good job by Gibson just to keep it alive, but they can't extend the play, and that'll be a point for Bellevue to stop that 6-0 run. Back to serve, Daniela Medina Angeles. And that finds a way to stay in. What a kill by Azalea LeBlanc.
I'm impressed. Don't see a slide swing every so often you'll see one, but that was very impressive.
Very impressive to be able to find room to keep it in. They set this one up high. Going back over to the right side again. Back over to the left. Great back and forth from both teams. Neither one getting too aggressive. And that's going to be a point for Charlotte. It's now 10-9.
That was one of the best rallies so far.
That's one of the best we've seen all day as far as just clean, disciplined volleyball.
That's right.
It'll be Rayleigh Williams to serve, the one returning player from last year's squad. And that'll be a point for Bellevue. This is sent up high, and it's going to be sent into the net by a Tiger, and it's now 12-9. It was Olivia Rye who just didn't have anything she could do with it after it hit one of the ventilation shafts and came straight down at the net. Jalen Early with a serve. And that'll be a point for Charlotte. They'll set up on the inside. And that's going to be right into the net, and that'll be a point for Charlotte. It's now 12-11.
I'm impressed with Cobb on Bellevue, number 5. She's done a great job defensively from the back row, and I feel like she's an effective swing on the front. Let's just see how she comes back from that last one.
Back across. They tried that earlier, and it worked. Way past the line, and that'll be a point for the Owls. So LeBlanc to serve. He is sent up high. They'll set on the right side. Here's Cobb. And it's just out of the line, and that'll be a point for Charlotte. Or correction, that'll be a point for Bellevue. I assume there was a violation I may have missed. They'll set up on the right. Here's Cobb. And that'll be another violation, and that'll be a point for Bellevue. It's now 15-11.
I feel a little bit of stuck feet as far as Charlotte. I feel like they need to make sure their body is moving. They're anticipating, they're communicating to get back in this.
And that just stays in play, and that'll be a point for Charlotte. It's 15-12.
And a smart hit like that will definitely help them.
Just out of reach, and that's going to be another point for Charlotte, and it's now 15-13. Charlotte sensing. Here's Zoe Cobb again. Cobb will just have to hit it back over. They didn't have time to set anything up. They'll go over to the right, and that's going to be underneath the net. It's now 16-13 in favor of Bellevue.
Bellevue's playing with a sense of confidence. I feel like defensively wise, they're passing the ball to target. The setter's able to make options, and setting to number 5 is definitely making things happen.
And they almost keep that play alive, but they just weren't able to. It's now 16-14. We'll have a few substitutions. So going back to serve for Charlotte will be Reagan Profit. Here's Cobb. Sent back on a block. And it was sent back by Emily Weich. And it's 17-14 in favor of the Owls, and we're going to get a timeout.
Probably a good time to call one. It's not that Charlotte is playing badly. I just feel like they just got to kind of regroup with their confidence and just get it back. It's a 3-point deficit, and they're kind of playing like they're 10 points down instead. And as far as Bellevue is concerned, timeouts like that, I've always enjoyed those because it just gives us a chance to just keep doing what we're doing and just play through any kind of adversity such as a timeout.
It gives you an opportunity to kind of tell your squad, hey, all right, let me give you some props real quick. You guys are doing a great job. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. Let's focus. The interesting thing for Charlotte, and this is a great job by Coach Williams, not calling the timeout earlier. Mm-hmm. She still got another one saved.
You're right.
And this is the perfect time to call when you're not too far out of reach. You're just there within it, but you still need to get something going.
Well, and it could possibly affect the server because of the timeout. Sometimes that is a strategy of the coach to call a timeout, especially when you're in a deficit like this that's kind of small, but you want to affect the server.
So it'll be Cobb to serve. And that's going to be an ace for Zoe Cobb.
And I don't think the timeout affected her at all. She went back there, perfect jump float, dropped down right in front of the passer.
It was a great serve by Zoe Cobb. The Owls with a 4-point lead. And that looks like that might have been another one, but they just got a hand underneath it, and that's going to be a kill for the Owls, or for the Tigers.
I think Charlotte's going to have to mix up what they're doing, such as an off-speed shot like that. It's going to help them to create some points and make Bellevue be on their toes a little bit more.
So Cassie Caldwell will go back to serve. And there's nothing that can happen there. Wasn't able to get underneath it, and that's going to be a point for Charlotte. Now it's 18-16. So Caldwell will serve again. Set up on the inside for Vleich, and it's sent back, but doesn't come back into play. That's going to be a point for the Owls. It's 19-16.
I like how Bellevue works the whole net. So they do set left side quite a bit when Cobb is in the front, but they also have mixed it up by running slides, setting back row when needed.
And that's going to be another point for Bellevue. Now back up to a 4-point lead. At one point, they led by as much as 6 points. Good serve. It's set in the middle. It was sent back over that time by LeBlanc. They're going to try on the left side. Here's LeBlanc. They'll go to the interior. Contact's made at the net. Cobb pops it up. Set up for LeBlanc again. Great back and forth. Tried to call her own number that time. Was almost able to get it. They'll go over for Williams. She sends it up to Cobb. Nobody can get to it in time, and that'll be a point for Charlotte. A great back and forth there. Some good saves. And it's 20-17 here in set one. Stockman with a serve. Here's LeBlanc. It was Sensing who sent it back over. They'll set up for LeBlanc this time. It gets down, and that'll be a point for Bellevue. 21-17.
I'm noticing Charlotte, when Bellevue sends over a off-speed type of swing where it goes into the middle of their court, they are turning and looking at each other instead of making defensive plays to get the ball up.
And that just gets over the net. It was almost down, and that'll be a violation on the Tigers, and that'll be another point for Bellevue, now 22-17.
Those are tough calls. The referee has been instructed to make sure the ball is a knuckleball going over the net, and when it just has a slight spin, it's going to be called.
And that's going to be a service error, and that'll be a point for the Tigers. It'll be Rayleigh Williams back to serve. They'll set up on the right. It's over the net anyway, and that'll be a point for the Tigers. And it's now 22-19. And this is where it's been really tough for Charlotte today. Every time they pull within 2 or 3, Bellevue gets back on a run. Williams with a serve. She sends it up high. They have to go across the court. Going in the middle. It was almost blocked to the net, and that'll be another point for Charlotte, now 22-20. So Rayleigh Williams will serve again. And that'll stay in play, and that'll be an ace for Rayleigh Williams. And the Tigers pull within 1, and we'll get a timeout. Coach Goodner's got to slow things down.
It's one of the things where you don't want your team to relax because what was the deficit, 5 or 6 points?
At one point, they were up by 6.
6 points, and you don't want them to relax and say, oh, we have this. You want to just keep the fire, keep the drive, and even if they make a run, Charlotte makes a run like they have, you're okay, guys, you're fine. And that's most likely what she was telling them. Just reset, we're up 1, get the side out, we're up 2, couple serves, and we're done. As far as Charlotte goes, guys, you're back in it. We've had 2 opportunities where we've had to come back from behind, and we're back in here because we are not wanting to back down yet.
And to go along with what you were talking about earlier, I think a big part of this time I had to be, let's go ahead and ice the server.
Yes.
Because Rayleigh Williams has been great serving since she got back there. And you know there had to be a sense of, all right, let's let's figure her out real quick.
Give her a chance to think a little bit longer.
So Williams will serve coming out of the timeout. They'll set it high. Cobb will just have to send it back over. Sensing sets for Knight. Going to that right side. It's going to get returned by Williams. Setting for LeBlanc. And that's going to be a point for Bellevue. And that's a tough one right there. If Stockman, I know that we talked about it earlier, sometimes it's better to be safe than sorry and go after it, but that's one that I feel like you got to take the risk on.
And I really like that slide hit. That, to me, that is just such an effective swing, and it's one that a team doesn't always practice against, so they're getting some points from that.
As we have a timeout by Coach Williams. That's a bit of a, well, I guess it's better to take the timeout before getting to set point, but right now it's hard to say that I feel like the momentum hasn't necessarily stayed exactly where it's at between both teams.
Sometimes the timeout is not just for your team, it's for the server of the other team. You want to give them just a little bit more time to think about it. And like you said, you don't want to call a timeout when it's set point. You want to give your team a chance to get 1 or 2 plays under their belt.
Bellevue just 2 points away from taking set 1. Back to serve will be Jalen Erlew. It just gets over the net. They'll set up for Zoe Cobb. They'll go back to Cobb on the right side again. And that's going to be a point for Bellevue. There was no way to save that. And here we are, set point. The Owls 1 away from taking set 1. Erlew back to serve. They'll set up for Cobb on the right. Rice sends it right into the net. And there it is, set 1. Taken by the Owls, 25-21. Bellevue up 1-0 in the match. We'll take a quick break. You're watching the 2025 TSSAA Middle School Volleyball Championships on the NFHS Network. And we welcome you back. We are getting ready to start set 2 of this 1A semifinal. Bellevue took the first set 25-21 in what was a great back and forth set. It was honestly a lot closer than 4 points would even suggest. But right now, all the pressure is on Charlotte. You got to win set 2 to even things up.
They have to produce a little bit more by protecting their serve. Whenever they are serving, they have to get some points that way. They're swinging safe. I feel like they're hitting safe, so they have to get a little bit more aggressive on their placement, on mixing things up, on passing to target. the little things that make a big difference. As far as Bellevue goes, I feel like they seem a little bit more relaxed and just kind of have a little groove about them. They are passing to target. Their setters' choices are a lot more options at this point.
Absolutely. They've really done a great job of getting everyone involved defensively. Set up on the right, and that's going to be right into the net, and that'll be a point for Bellevue to open set 2. Cassie Caldwell just couldn't elevate above the net.
And a lot of that is the pass needs to go towards the net. It's being popped up at the moment where the setter is chasing the ball down, and the hitter can't even see the court when they make a swing.
So Savannah Wynn with the serve. The setup on the right for Cobb. Great job of keeping that play alive. And it's into the net. They keep it alive. That's going to be a point for Charlotte, and there seemed to be some frustration on the Bellevue side, expecting that to be blown dead.
I think it was just a delayed call. Maybe he had a blocked sight.
And it was delayed. You were correct. It is 2-0 on the board. So Bellevue with a lead. So Wynn will serve again. And that's right into the net again. Caldwell struggling to elevate, and Bellevue is off to a 3-0 start.
Which is probably why she is serving first. She's got such a productive surge. Her serve is dropping short, hitting passers deep in the court. That's what you want a server to do, is to find the ways to make the pass be different.
Especially when they're serving first, it really sets the tone for the rest of the set. They're up 4-0. They'll have to pop it up. They do get it back over the net. They'll set up. Here's Cobb. It'll be a violation. That'll be a point for Bellevue, and they're now up 5-0. And I believe we're getting a timeout right here. There it is. Coach Williams has got to be frustrated, and you can see it down there.
Well, during play, she made a comment where I could hear it, and she said, "We've got to hit the ball." And that is true. We can't just send the ball over as an off-speed shot or a push or a down ball. We have to be more aggressive than that. And the score is showing at the moment we're playing too safe. And that's hard to tell girls that they want to win. It's just we got to find a way to win. And what they're doing at the moment is not going to get it done.
And it's hard to really, when it comes to playing safe, I mean, there's a trip to a championship on the line.
Right.
You got to be aggressive. And I think one thing to point out, if you look across the net, I love the coaching style so far of Coach Goodner. Not even really spending more than, 10 seconds or so in the huddle, just trusting her girls to go out there and make it happen.
And I like that too, because you can tell if you only take a little bit of the 1 minute break and let them do some talking, you can really see who starts to step up as the leaders, and they can kind of relax each other instead of hearing it from the coach. It's just different philosophies for different ways.
So Wynn will serve again for the 6th time here to start set 2. And that's going to be an ace. So the Owls now up 6-0. And that ties their largest lead of the first set. There'll be a substitution as Gibson will go back to the sideline. Now comes Alicia Knight. So Wynn serves once more. And that's going to be a point. That'll be the first point for Charlotte. It's now 6-1.
They needed that. That was a great pass. She came in off the bench to make the one pass, and sometimes that strategy from a coach doing the sub. You want to have the server look at someone different, and that was productive.
So Scarlett Sensing with a serve. They'll sit on the right side for Cobb. They'll set high. Here's Cobb once more. It makes a lot of contact with the net. It stays alive. They'll go to LeBlanc. And that'll be a point for Bellevue. A long pause before the ruling. And the Owls are now back up by 6. It's 7-1.
And this is frustrating from Charlotte's coach standpoint. The little unforced errors, the net violation, things like that you don't want them to start to do. It's just they're almost playing not to lose, and you got to get them out of that still.
Sensing sends it back over. They'll set up on the right for Vleish. And right into the net, just a mishit by Stockman, and that's going to be another point for Bellevue, now up by 7. So Cobb is back to serve. And that's going to be a service error. And it's now 8-2. They set up for Williams, and that's going to be a point for Charlotte. She put it just out of reach of Montez Rodriguez.
That is what the coach wanted to see. A great pass to target. The setter hustled to get a good set, and they swung away, getting a point.
So Profit with the serve. And that's going to be a kill for Emily Vleish.
I think her teammates really liked that swing. That was a great swing, hitting down the line.
So back to serve will be Camila Vontes Rodriguez. And that just gets over the net, and that'll be a point for Charlotte. As Bellevue, 2 Owls watched it fall to the ground, nobody reacted. So it'll be Cassie Caldwell back to serve. He set up for LeBlanc. And that'll be a point for Bellevue. Caldwell just couldn't get there in time. And the Owls lead by 6. A bit of a line drive serve does get over. They set for Erlu. Here's Williams, and that's out past the line. That'll be another point for the Owls. It's now 11-4. They are back to that 7-point lead as Medina Angeles will serve. And that's out past the line as well. It's now 12-4, the largest lead of the match. Bellevue up by 8.
And this is where the time that Coach Williams wishes she could call a timeout. It's just one's already been used, and you still have a little bit more game left.
You got to try and at least save one for later on in the match. And they almost keep that one alive, but they're just unable to track it. It got so high up, they lost count of where it was.
That is right. Charlotte needed that one.
Absolutely, to help stop the run. They're still down by 7 as Stockman with a serve. Past the line, and Bellevue's lead goes back to 8. Tries to call her own number. Stockman will take advantage of the defense, and that's going to be a point for Charlotte.
Coach Goodner on Bellevue was asking the referee. That looked like a double contact, but Charlotte got that one.
Here's Cobb. And that's going to be a point for Charlotte. And it's now 13-7. The Tigers slowly starting to climb back into it. So Williams will serve. And that's going to be another point for Bellevue. It's now 14-7. This would be Azalea LeBlanc who will serve. Stockman will set up on the left side. It's sent back on a block, and that's going to be a point for Bellevue. It was sent back by Bleish.
In my opinion, Bellevue's rotation at the moment is probably one of their better rotations. You still have Cobb. You have a strong middle that could run slides when needed. The setter's up there, so she has those two very good options. and they'll probably produce the points.
They'll send it right back over. Set up for Cobb there on the right, and it's going to get out of play, and that'll be a point for the Tigers. So Charlotte still trying to make up some ground. Back to serve will be Presley Gibson. And that's right into the net, a service error, and it's 16-8.
That's where Charlotte's got to just serve in, maybe not positional as far as finding a spot. The last couple serves have gone out, and they can't get points on the board if they can't get a serve going.
They'll have to send it back over. Nobody was able to set anything up. She calls her own number, but nothing works. Good save. They set up for Cobb. That's going to get down for a kill. Zoe Cobb extends the lead to 9.
I like her energy. Cobb stands out as a little leader on that team.
It's infectious. It spreads to her teammates, and you can really see a difference in the way these two teams are feeling, and that's going to be an ace. It's now 18-8. Bellevue with a 10-point lead in set 2 of the semifinals. Right into net. That'll be a service error. And Charlotte absolutely needed that. They'll set up for Cobb on the right. It's sent back on a block again by Emily Fleisch. And the lead goes back to 10. It was almost another ace. It'll be a violation, and that'll be a point for the Owls, now leading by 11. And this is just a tough moment for Charlotte.
It is. They still have to keep pushing. I've seen it before where a team has come back from this deficit. It's just they've just got to change the way they're looking at the game.
And that's going to be a point for Charlotte, as that time Wen sent it right into the net. And it's back to a 10-point match. So going back to serve for Charlotte will be Reagan Profit. Here's Erlu. Williams. Then they go back over again, that time with Sensing. They set up on the far side, and it's going to be straight into the net, and that'll be a point for the Tigers. So Profit will serve again. And right into the net once more is Weiss. And that's another point for Charlotte. And now they're on a 3-0 run. And that's going to be a service error to take away the momentum. It's 21-12. Camila Montez Rodriguez will serve. Outside of the line, and that's another point for the Owls. It's now 22-12. Montez Rodriguez. And that's right into the net. Stockman couldn't elevate. And now an 11-point lead for Bellevue, just 2 points away from punching their ticket to the Single A championship. They go to Williams. It's going to be just out of reach, and that's a kill.
And that's a good one. I mean, sometimes just a kill like that can make the big difference in getting some things rolling.
All it takes is a big play here and there to get things in rhythm. Back to serve is Cassie Caldwell. They set up for Erlu. Stockman sends it back over. Here's Wen, setting for Cobb. You go to Williams. Somehow they keep it alive, but no one's going to be able to get it in time. It's into the net. It was almost a crazy save.
That would have been so pretty. Great save on libero.
So Caldwell back to serve again. It's a 7-point deficit, but Charlotte has slowly chipped away. Mishandled, and that's another point for the Tigers. I said 7-point deficit a minute ago. I meant 9. Now it's an 8-point deficit. Caldwell. Serve again. And that's going to get down in front of them, and that's going to be a point for Bellevue. And here we are, match point for the Owls. They are one away from heading to a championship. Back to serve, Daniela Medina Angeles. The set for Williams. Here's LeBlanc. Stockman will go to Knight, and she sends it way over, and there it is. Bellevue takes down Charlotte 25-15, and they have punched their ticket to the Single A championship. We'll see you later here for the 2025 TSSAA Middle School Volleyball Championships on the NFHS Network.